So, there's this new stand-up routine from comedian Katt Williams, and it has completely blown up online. And it's all about one person, Donald Trump. Today, we're going to break down exactly what he said, why it's hitting a nerve with so many people, and, what it all says about where comedy and politics are at right now. Right out of the gate, Williams paints this picture, not of a politician really, but of this chaotic force of nature. This one line, it just perfectly sets the stage for his entire argument. In his view, Trump's most defining feature is just pure, unfiltered unpredictability. And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we are just swimming in political commentary 24/7. So what made this particular routine cut through all that noise? Well, the answer is all in how Williams builds his case, step by step, moving from character to action, and then to a conclusion that nobody saw coming.
All right, so first, let's look at how he actually builds the character of Trump. He doesn't kick off with policy or politics, nope. He starts with personality. It's a classic move in comedy, right? First you define the character and then you just let the jokes write themselves based on who that person is.
So at the heart of it all is this really simple contrast. He basically says, look, we've all seen what America is like with a nice, sensible president. And then he frames the Trump years as the total opposite of that, an era that he defines by having a motherfucking bully in charge. And this isn't really a political jab, you see. It's the comedic foundation for everything that's about to follow.
And he just keeps building on this idea with these fantastic specific details. Like, he calls him a vampire who doesn't sleep, referencing those late-night tweets we all remember. This super high-energy, almost manic personality is what he calls a president of action. He's painting a picture of a character who's just driven by constant motion, for good or for bad.
Okay, so from there, Williams takes this character he's built, this impulsive, energetic bully, and connects that personality directly to the act of actually governing. And this is where his jokes get incredibly sharp.
And this one line, it pretty much sums up this entire section of the routine. The whole joke is that Williams is arguing the normal process, research, discussion, then action, is totally flipped on its head. The comedy is born from this idea of a presidency just running on pure, unresearched impulse.
So Williams lays out this absurd four-step process he calls the Trump method. He jokes that the very first step, research, has just been completely thrown out the window. Instead, you just do the thing first. Then you deal with the mess later, which he illustrates with this hilarious bit about firing people at the Nuclear Security Administration and only after they're gone asking, so what did they do? And this is the brilliant part, right? He connects this method to these super memorable real-world examples. Poor test scores? Just get rid of the whole Department of Education. Foreign policy? He has this amazing visual of Trump launching missiles from his bathroom with an Xbox controller. He's turning these huge, complex policy issues into these simple, hilarious, and, let's be honest, totally absurd punchlines.
Now, just when you think you know exactly where this routine is headed, more jokes, more division, Williams just completely flips the script. This is the moment in the set that a lot of people analyzing it say took it from just a good comedy routine to a genuinely viral phenomenon.
And he sets the stage for this pivot just perfectly. He taps into what everyone watching is feeling, that the country seems more divided than ever. The whole story we hear every day is one of constant conflict.
So right in the middle of all that tension, he basically asks, what can a comedian do here? What can a guy whose whole job is making fun of powerful people possibly say that could bridge a gap like that?
And after this whole routine built on pure chaos and conflict, he drops this bombshell of a line about unity. He makes the point that despite everything, the country is still the United States. The reason this line hits so hard is because it's a complete 180-degree turn from the tone of the rest of the set. At a time when we expect comedians to just pick a side, he pivots to common ground, and it's just so disarming and powerful.
Okay, so the big question is, why did this land so hard with so many people? The YouTube commentators who've been breaking down this clip have a few key theories about what made it so effective.
It all seems to boil down to this one idea, keeping it real. The theory goes that comedians, unlike politicians or news anchors, are seen as being totally unfiltered. They don't have a party they need to please. So people feel like they're speaking a kind of truth that connects with regular people because it's not all polished and focus grouped.
So according to the folks breaking this down, the secret sauce for this going viral is authenticity. Williams is seen as this outsider who somehow made it inside the system, someone who has no masters to answer to. And that leads to this really fascinating idea. Maybe comedians actually have a better read on what people are thinking than politicians do. because their job, night after night, literally depends on connecting with a whole room of different people.
Which really leaves us with this big, kind of provocative question to think about. In this age where we're just overloaded with information and political spin, are we starting to turn to comedians not just for a laugh, but for a dose of clarity and maybe even truth? Katt Williams' routine seems to suggest that for millions of us, the answer might just be yes.